Now, all right. Thanks, guys, for chiming in at short notice. I know I usually would have done this at lunchtime, but I had other things like eating, and so did my friend. Obviously, he's been eating for hours and hours, and we just popped in. So thanks very much for your time. And this is, of course, Ultimate Delicious Pie and me, and we're talking about the day's events of, well, all sorts of things. Primarily, of course, Mass Effect. Mass Effect Andromeda is coming out in another week, and everyone's excited, I guess, for various reasons, positive and negative ones. Anyway, it's good things to talk about. There's been lots of news the past few
Yep.
days.
PAX. There was a big event at PAX, wasn't
Yep, lots of showcasing, hours long worth of showcasing Andromeda there. A lot of fan feedback, a lot of people getting stuff recorded on cameras or direct screen recording, and of course there was the trailer, the launch trailer.
the lunch trailers we could call it.
The lunch trailer? Yeah, there's so much to chew on. Yeah. There were errors in the trailer I didn't even pick up on, or if I did, I was like, maybe it wasn't so bad. Maybe there's a point to having your gun hanging off your ass, without looks like it's attached to anything. Maybe that's just how they do it in the future. I looked at PB's mission, and it's like, okay, Sarah has that big ass holster on her thigh. Thought, maybe it just sort of hangs there, and we just don't see the holster. I don't know. Probably not, but I'm not going to bash it till I actually know that's how it looks. And it could just be a cutscene thing, but even then, it's still pretty funny. But yeah, there were like so many things. There was, of course, the obvious one was Cora's Gumby arm when she walks up that ladder, and she tries to pull out her assault rifle, and just 180-degree spin on her wrist.
It's like her arm is hollow and it just like in. It's just like it's like turns into a spaghetti noodle.
And you can't quite tell because that's when it fades out to a next scene. So I thought maybe the animator was like, or the guy who cut the trailer was like, oh, we should probably cover that up. How do we do that? I don't know. Oh, let's fade to black. Okay, great. That's probably
they're too busy looking on Cora's bum, aren't we? To be
fair.
fair.
Yeah. It's like, oh, look at that ass shot. Yeah, okay. There was PB holding the gun backward. That was just I only showed in my video, I only showed the actual scene of her holding and firing the gun. If you look at the 8-second clip or wherever you found it, she's talking to Scott, and behind Scott there is like this remnant drone about to attack or something. And the animation of PB when she talks and her facial expressions looks really funny. Not in the funny haha, she looks cute. Haha, funny. She looks really weird. As always, we would say that the Bioware animation is a little weird, and it's just this whole thing of her shooting the thing, and then the drone sort of reacts to the gunfire, and just sort of collapses in on itself and hits the ground. It's a very entertaining little scene of that 50-minute or 1 hour clip. Yeah, I mean, even with the Sorry, I think in her loyalty mission, holding the assault rifle, it's levitating in her arm. These are just funny things. And of course, PB then pulls out her own assault rifle, even though you can't equip assault rifles on people, or some people can only have certain loadouts. We've learned this on Twitter, I think just yesterday. You cannot put guns and armor on your squad mates. You're crafting all this gear, and you just can't do it. I mean, this is something that people complained about in Dragon Age 2. And for some reason, they brought it back to Mass Effect. I don't know why they would do that. I can't think of a reason why that would be a benefit to gameplay or even make it fun. Yeah,
it's the whole, you're the Pathfinder. Yeah. Just ignore everyone else. They're not important. It's all about you.
Well, yeah, as we were talking previously, they're just voices with
they're just turrets with a voice box at this point. That's what they are. And they just float around, and they occasionally do things, and you have to revive them because they do something dumb, but that's all what they are.
Yeah, it's funny if you watch some of the trailers there, the combat trailer, the exploration trailer, that those fiends come after you, you fire a grenade at them. There's like Cora, she's like doing her Vanguard, what is it? The low blow, the slam. It's like, Yeah, it looks. It's like, okay, can you get like? There's no friendly fire, so obviously it's not a big deal. But it still looks funny when you're lobbing a grenade in at your squad mate's general direction, and she's in the middle of fighting this gigantic charging beast, and you're like, maybe you shouldn't do that move right now. Maybe you should run away. It looks kind of funny, and I don't know
Yeah,
what
but
the AI is like, but it's not impressing me.
well, BioWare seems to always make the mistake of they always add in a cool feature, but not realizing the wider implications mechanically in level design and combat situations. That like this would be really great if you were by yourself and you had no other squad mates. Like the whole you can do anything with your class system. You can put points into anything. You can have any type of armor and weapons that you want. These are all things which would be great in like the Witcher or the Fallout games, and for the most part, usually on your own in those. But here in Mass Effect, you're always with squad mates, so it's like your squad mates are just tacked on, like just blue tacked onto the side of either your head.
With Mass Effect 3, you at least had the option of changing their outfits, and those outfits gave you, plus 25 to shields, plus 15 to damage. It had a visual difference. It was at least something. It wasn't obviously as customizable as in Mass Effect 2 and 3, but you could at least do something with your squad mates. You can give them different weapons, and that did make a huge difference. Like if you upgraded, I think Garrus, and if you gave him all the bonuses to assault rifles, and you gave him what was that N7 really fast firing assault rifle? I can't recall the name of it, but you don't have to play the game. He will play the game for you. He will just
the Revenant Eye.
Was it the Revenant? I can't remember, but he just destroyed everything in his path. It's funny. I think someone made a YouTube video about it. If you upgrade him, he crushes everything. When you go to Thessia, it just destroys everything in its path. So to take that away, I don't know if they're going to have upgrades to their own guns. That they must. They would have to scale somehow to make their damage output at least reasonable, or else they'd be totally useless. So yeah, if this is all a you-centric game, and your squad mates are just sort of there for fun, I guess.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what they're going to do for like Drac, and that's actually one of the, like I said, the whole point of having a squad-based shooter, really. Like you look at the ability. I even looked at the abilities of what they have. They only have something like, what is it, 4, maybe 5 different abilities, and like 2 of those are going to be passives.
I think there's 3. Yeah, well, 3 of them they have active
3
abilities.
actives and yeah, 2 passives, which is just like, come on, even for Mass Effect 2 and all its problems, at least you had multiple options. There's like at least 6, or was it 5? Then you unlocked a 6th one after when you complete their loyalty mission.
Right. You could take their ultimate or whatever the hell it was called.
Yeah, like Jack had like warp ammunition, and Garrus had I forgot what Garrus actually had now.
I remember Samara had Reeve, and Morinth had something else. Like it was the opposite skill. Like Morinth should have had Reeve because she's a vampire.
Yeah,
they gave it to Samara, and I'm like, wait a second, this isn't right. This can't be right. But yeah, that was the special. It was a weird sort of game. It wasn't called game breaking, a little lore breaking. Like, what the hell are you doing? You could just borrow someone's special ability just because you could.
Osmosis.
Yeah, Shepard he's the cyborg man. He just learns everything, and he's indestructible, and da da da. Like, okay, fire all these guns. Yeah,
he just plugs himself in. It's like, I know Reeve. He's like, show me.
Yeah, I know kung fu. Like, what? How'd you do that?
What else was there now? Did you see the PAX one where they're showing Liam Costa's?
I saw a little bit, and then I turned it off because I wasn't interested. I was like, eh.
It's actually quite funny because I was actually pacing through it because it was about 40 minutes because they had the big panel of them as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like they had a big panel of them. And then, of course, you had the Q&A section, which I conveniently skipped on over. I closed down the web browser at that point. But some of the things, actually, his loyalty mission actually makes a lot more sense. Like, it's some people that he knows or family relative or, a good friend of his or friends are actually captured by slavers. I was like, that makes sense why he would want to be, it's actually done in a very comedic way. Obviously, comedy is a very subjective thing, but it's a lot more influenced by the new reimagined Star Treks, whereby everything's fun, it's flashy, it's fast, and it's going at such a high pace that you actually tend to overlook a lot of the glaring problems because of the pacing that they deliver the information to you. You know, it's a lot of the, I think that's a bit of a problem that BioWare tend to do lately, really.
I think a game of this size, especially even The Witcher 3, you're going to have a load of bugs. You're going to have a load of glitches that you just can't overlook. Now, the funny thing is, though, with BioWare is the quality is definitely not on the level of CD Projekt Red. They're just, you just can't compare them. The facial animations, the rigging, the textures. I mean, it's they put so much time and effort into that. They wrote an algorithm for the types of bodily animation states in a conversation, so they don't have to program that. It just knows based on the length of time of a sentence and how it's delivered that a body will react that way. So it cuts, like, it's a very intelligent way of doing it. It cuts down on development and cutscene time, because cutscenes, when you're talking about game development, cutscenes are probably the most middle of the road time-consuming thing. Like when you start off, you're building the engine, you're learning about it, that's all the groundwork. But once you get in the middle, and once you're actually making the product, cutscenes take a lot of time. And for a game of this size, there's all this gigantic levels and all these enemies. You really have to spend a lot of time focusing on that. And if you have 5 years making this kind of product, you can't just go in there. It's, oh, I can tweak this bone, or I can tweak this. No. You've got to start from scratch, or go from the first frame of animation, and you got to see what happens. So when you see these fanboys in the comments, like, oh, don't worry, they're gonna fix this on that day one patch. I'm sitting there going, buddy, no, they're not. They might, maybe a month from now, but between the time it went gold and the 21st, they're not going to have enough time. These things take days, like hours and days, and there's a QA cycle, and it has to, that's just one problem. And that's a graphical glitch. It's not a technical glitch. This is not like a balancing issue. This is not a texture map. This is a fully rigged animated skeleton mesh with voice acting and whatever plugin they have used for timing the voice acting. All this stuff is done. It's very complex. It takes a while. You can't just go in and move your mouse and drag a bone over. This is very, very long and time consuming. And even then, like, again, Witcher 3, beautifully done game. The number of bugs in that game is astronomical. It's all over the place. And a lot of people, they'll notice the horse bug, or they'll notice, like, one of the characters is instantiated twice. Like, you'll see like a ghost of a guy, and he's like bending over, like the animation's off. One of the funniest things I ever saw that everyone sees in The Witcher 3 is they'll have the same instance of a model. So like a guy with a skull cap on, and they're watching a woman burn. And I swear, in that scene, there's like 5 of exactly the same model, and 3 of them are standing almost right next to each other. They're in different animation states. They're looking at different frames. They're playing, obviously, so it makes it look believable. But if you actually just pause and look at the scene for about 10 seconds, you're like, wait, this is exactly the same model. So they cut a lot of corners, and they did a very slick job. But you still see these blemishes. It's egregious depending on how many you encounter, of course. But with BioWare, the game hasn't come out yet. We're noticing this stuff in the trailers that they give to marketing, in the demos they give to journalists. It's hilarious. It really is entertaining to watch this. I wouldn't call it a burning building yet. The building hasn't lit on fire. We just see the smokestacks. There's smoke somewhere. We don't know where it's coming from, but that house is going to light on fire pretty quickly.
It's like the Q&A sessions. Like, they kind of go, right, where's the Q&A guide, and it's just located on a napkin somewhere, written on crayon. They kind of go, yeah, seems legit.
How's our QA cycle go? They've been doing polish since July of last year, at least.
Yeah, 8 months. That's when he was at the E3, and he said, oh, we're just focusing on polish. It's like, geez, how much polish are you doing? And then the first video that they showed off was the 4K tech demo. It's like, you guys have not completed a level yet. That's what you were telling me. Oh my God.
It was a platforming demo. Here's a guy jumping on platforms. It's like, wow, that's not impressive at all.
Look at this wonky animation as he jumps over, and with no kind of like, jumps over the chest high wall for no reason, obviously. But
I was still impressed. I'm always going to be impressed by Frostbite just because it's a beautiful rendered engine, but it's always the trees. I don't know why I've latched on to trees and all the particle effects, the light effects, and the guy's just walking over. When he vaulted over that chest high wall, I was like, oh, that does not look good. But then you're like, ooh, look at that tree in the background. Isn't that pretty? Yeah, it's so nice. That lens flare is coming off. And then you realize, wait a second, I've probably seen this architecture in Halo like 8 years ago, or the generic black hexagonal growing one past walls or rooms just constructed of all this black alien wall. I don't even know what it is. It just looks funny. And they went for generic. And when you look at the alien design of Turians, in Mass Effect 1, go back all the way. Look at the alien design of Quarians, Solarians. There's some sophistication there. Look at the Angora. Just look at the female Angora in that, I think it was the exploration video. It looks, I don't know. Yeah, well, there's a Twi'lek angle. It's like they took the Quarian body and they thinned it out even more. And they slapped this Twi'lek lizard-ish head on top. It does not inspire me at all.
Yeah, are the amphibians, are the lizards? I mean, I don't really understand the basis for it. So I immediately get like the cat upon whereby it looks like someone just got like a Play-Doh head and then smashed it in with a frying pan.
Yeah, here's some bone. We're going to put some bone on your skull. Then we're going to put some bone on your arms. And then we're going to put some bone on your legs. Yeah. And I'm thinking, okay, that's the best. I mean, I don't know. Is that creative? I'm looking at character designs all over online of people just making aliens. And they are so unique, like with tails and eyes and mouths and just weird, freaky looking things. The thing I like about the Turians, and I actually really enjoy the look of the female Turians. They look alien. It does not look feminine at all to me. But there's something there. It's like, okay, yeah, that's a different breed or a different type of Turian. And you can say, okay, yeah, exactly. And that brings with it a whole bunch of cultural things you can latch onto. You can tell stories about what is the culture of femininity in the Turian world. I don't know. We only seen a handful of, what is it, like
2 altogether.
Is there 2 or 3? I think, yeah.
2 interacting ones, because obviously you got Vectra in Andromeda, and then you've got the one from Omega on the Omega DLC on Mass Effect 3. Okay,
right. So there's very few. And yeah, I'm glad they have more aliens just for the sake of having more aliens. That's not a fanboy thing. I'm like, oh wow, female turn. No, I don't really care if it's a female, but I am glad there are females because Mass Effect never really had females until Mass Effect 3. So we're very glad that we at least get some aliens, even though they're from the Milky Way. At least they're different. And we also learned recently it wasn't the official launch trailer, it was the previous trailer, it was the exploration trailer. We learned how they got the long-range scans to get to Andromeda.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to actually make a second video about this. I made a first video called Failing at the Premise, where I talked about how this is a bad premise. And now we know exactly how they failed. We have the actual in-game reason, which is the first 13-minute trailer we saw, where it tells us we want to explore and we're kind of bored of the Milky Way right now. So we want to go even further. And then we learn from the exploration trailer and the little weird text that's hard to read that the Geth, get this, I'm sure you might have heard this already, the Geth appropriated 3 Mass Effect relays, okay? These are things which are very sensitive to the Council, so obviously the Geth have to do it, but somehow they can manipulate relays which are quantum shielded. Now, and they explain what quantum shielding is, that they are not affected on a subatomic level. What that means is the particles, the electrons of an atom are no longer moving. They're no longer jiggling around. They cannot interact chemically or physically or atomically. Or subatomically, sorry. Subatomic particles cannot interact, which means it's a cold, they say that these devices are cold, meaning they cannot convert heat energy, thermal energy, but they can be affected by gravity. And that's why they're, the Charon relay, which was, the Charon moon in our solar system, that's why they are what they are. So suddenly, the Geth can not only manipulate them, they can combine them in some strange physical way. Three of them. So they managed to get three. I don't know. Just think about how you move a relay into the same location 3 times over. Okay, just think about that. All right, fine. So you find one relay in one system, somehow you tow it to another relay to transport it to another system where your other 2 relays have done exactly the same thing. Okay, blows my mind, destroys all the lore, whatever. Okay, then what do they do with it? They somehow use it as a telescope. Not to be a relay or to be a big, powerful relay that transports stuff. They use it as a telescope. So they can get long-range scans.
How does that even work? Because you need a relay on the corresponding end.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like, this doesn't, okay, so you're beaming light out there and you kind of going, we're seeing nothing, we're just seeing blackness.
Exactly. So you're beaming some signal out there that a signal has no mass in the first place. So then you have to say, okay, what the hell do you need a relay for if it's not going to travel any faster than light, but because it has zero, like the reason why relays work is you have mass and it converts it into no mass. It creates a corridor where things can be thrown very, very powerfully, very quickly, where it's almost instantaneous. It's not instantaneous, but it's almost instantaneous. So if you have a signal, like a radio signal, a light signal, and you're shooting that off with the mass effect, what's to calculate? 0 times 0. I mean, I don't know the math. I don't know the hard science fiction is now lost to us because BioWare doesn't care about that sort of thing anymore. But then you say, okay, so it has no corresponding other relay it links up with. And then somehow the signal has to come back. And then we have to say, oh, this data we're getting is recent. Now, if you actually read the line, I don't know if I wrote it down, but it starts off where Jean Garson, she wants to go to Andromeda, and she doesn't have this data yet, but she's not ready to risk thousands of lives until she has accurate data. And I'm like, well, then why the hell are you even contemplating it? How could you even consider the idea of not having up-to-date information beforehand? It's asinine. It's like, I want to go to the moon. Okay, how far away is it? I don't know, but I want to go to the moon. Okay, like, did you have? I could see you built your shuttlecraft. Do you know how long it's going to take? Like, no, but until we invent a telescope that can tell me, I'm not going to risk it. It's like, well, you're 9/10 there. You're about to load yourself into the shuttle. You've already had people signed up. So that sort of mentality, I'm going to go over in my next bid, just because it's such backwards thinking, and they're trying to plug a hole. They're trying to lampshade it in the stupidest way possible because it's not in the game. Or if it's in the game, it's going to be in the codex just to cover their asses or wipe their asses.
But the thing is, though, that I absolutely love is that they said that the Geth were they were looking into dark space for some unknown reason. It's like, oh, hi, Legion. You want to share something with the group right now? We're doing this whole Reaper killing thing, and I just heard that you have this big, powerful telescope that may be able to detect things in dark space. I'm just saying, I'm only Commander Shepard. This would have been really useful.
You can detect Reapers? What?
See, if they would have done something like, I don't know, you could even done it like in a kind of, I don't know, quantum tunneling, like they use a mass relay to do a quantum tunneling method, whereby you're just basically sending out literally microscopic nanites through to basically make like a wormhole. You're not like making a a Star Trek level of size wormhole. I think this was used in the was it the game Grey Goo?
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, whereby to explore the vastness of space, they basically send out all these nanites into these like little tiny, like microscopic, like almost at the quantum level nanites to basically explore through the galaxy. And then obviously the thing information gets it accumulates all the knowledge and then eventually comes back. So it's a very long-term process. It's obviously exploring quite a large area, but either way the information gets collaborated in. And I was just thinking, if the GEF were doing something like that, like they were sending their VIs through the mass relay, and then they were wanting to construct a mass relay on the other side, or a micro mass relay.
Well, if they can somehow manipulate mass relays to get 3 of them,
yeah,
and they could send one off. If they have 3, okay, and you can manipulate them, why don't you ship one off to wherever the hell you want? Like, just launch this bloody thing as far as possible. Actually, if you have 3 relays, you can literally do that. You launch the first relay, and then you transport the second one with you, and then you go back, or someone else brings the first relay with you. So now you have all your relays with you, and you just keep doing that. You just keep going and going and going.
Oh, maybe, yeah, it's like I envision like knowing Macworld is the way I would do it. Would probably be like, okay, mass relays are kind of like magnets, and if you put them too close together, then they repel each other.
Well, there's an idea, because if we're at the 4th game already, we have to get out of the galaxy, and we have to do something creative. Why not push the boundaries of what Mass Effect is? That is the mass relays, and have them work on a level or on a level of science fiction that is even bigger. So if you want to travel that far, okay, see if you can actually hack a relay and use it to transport yourself very, very far, very, very quickly.
This is what I said. The first one, wasn't it, where you basically turn the mass relay into a big giant space gun, and then all your energy is just diverted into you slowing down because you're in a massless corridor. So all your energy is just like slamming on the brakes.
And it could be like an experiment gone wrong, and you have to make it's like Star Trek Voyager. You have to make your way back home. It's this big voyage, and there's this big fight. Well, this is kind of like Stargate Universe, where you have to find your way back home, but there's also a scientist on board, and he has his other plan. He just wants to learn about the galaxy or the universe while he's out here. And so there's this big internal struggle of how am I using my resources to get home? Am I using my resources to learn about the universe while I'm here? How long is it going to take me to get home? That's a typical done before plot. It's tried and true, but in the Mass Effect world, using the Mass Effect effect.
Well, that's like when you talk about the problems, like let's say, for example, the thing goes wrong, but then they get lost adrift, and the only way for them to survive is to go through cryosleep.
Okay, I mean
that could work.
Yeah,
like basically they're stuck between the void.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea, but it's not you have to give a reason to do that. You can't just say to explore. That is.
I know, I wasn't contemplating even that. I was just saying this is still my.
No. Like if your method of transport involves cryosleep, fine, that's great. You're going to be abandoning your home, your family, your friends. Everything's going to be gone. You're going to be gone for at least 20, 30 years. 600 years, that's hard to chew, but fine. Okay, they're not stretching their science fiction. That's fine. They can do that. But damn it, give me a reason. Give me a simple, good, goddamn reason. Like, I don't know, there's some amazing alien technology that just communicated with us that's 1 million years old, and we have to go seek it out because it will give us an insight into the meaning of the universe, or some new particle like element 0. We understand how it works now, but the secret's out there. We got to go find it. So there's positive reasons to go out that we could invent to go out there. The negative reasons are we got to escape from the Reapers. That's the brain dead obvious one. What's the story about? Stopping the Reapers. Okay. What's one way to stop the Reapers? Well, not stopping them and just running away. How do you run away? Another freaking galaxy. Okay, great. Let's do that. Write a conspiracy. How the Lucid Man is this is plan B, and he's going to throw humanity there, but he has to put it together so that it looks like it's an interspecies plan. He gets more money, he gets more resources. It's all this positive press. All these people are saying goodbye. It's this big shindig, and off they go to explore. And maybe they'll invent some fake other motive to go there, like, oh, there's an alien race there who wants to meet with us, or there's some secret there that we have to uncover. There's all kind. We can come up with so many good ideas. You guys could probably do that in chat right now if you haven't already, and go crazy talking about why we should go to another galaxy at this current level of technology.
Well, one of the things I was interested in, one of the ironic things about the Mass Effect trilogy is that if they would have just stuck with the dark energy plot about, the stars basically decaying, it's like we need to travel to Andromeda because, let's say, for example, let's say through their surveys or whatever, the stars aren't having the same effect. So there may be an alien intelligence out there that solved this problem.
Interesting.
Or something like maybe that's what the remnants are, or maybe it's actually even not. But because they haven't solved, I don't know, because they haven't gone down the dark energy plot, and that's why I guess a lot of people are trying to revive it as quickly as they can, rather than the whole synthetics versus organics thing from El Retardo Catalisto. That's just, I don't want to get into that all over again. That's just a quagmire. But yeah, like something like that, or even better yet, if they really wanted to go for it, the original ending of Mass Effect 3, whereby when the catalyst kind of goes, oh yeah, by the way, the master relays will be destroyed, then you could sort of say, well, the element 0 released is now going to be destabilizing a lot of stars that in turn is going to kill all organic life in the galaxy. And it's going to take, let's say, 3,000 years or whatever many thousands of years. But people are like, hey, that's not a long time in the galactic scheme of things. We need to get the fudge out of here. Or something,
Yeah. The other funny thing is people talk about, well, it takes us 600 years to get to Andromeda. The Reapers go more than twice as fast as that.
Yeah. I did my calculations. It's like 284 years they can arrive there.
Yeah, and this is well after the events of the God King Shepherd. So, or synthetic synthetic cyborg galaxy bullshit, green
people.
Ridiculous story.
Just imagine like all these like green people like, oh, hello, pleasant to meet you right now. Nice coffee, isn't it? It's like the Andromedan. It's just like we sacrificed our entire lives for just to be met by freaking Jim here who's already set up a goddamn coffee store.
And then there's of course the destroy ending where everything blows up, but somehow you're able to rebuild relays. So if you can rebuild relays, then I mean, what the hell do you need FTL for? Just freaking point and aim. You're there. It's just, it would be so funny. I don't think they're not going to do that because they have to distance themselves as far as possible from Mass Effect 3 and its ending.
Yeah, they've shot themselves multiple times in the fight, and then the extended kind of even shot themselves even further.
It's quite funny because Deus Ex Machina, as much as I harp on about it, and it's always, well, not always. If you look at classical Greek literature, they will use it because they say that life is predetermined and there's not much you can do, and it's very constricting, and man is its own entity and gods are its own entity. And that would have worked within the themes of Mass Effect, having this almost omnipotent machine race that just wants to do whatever the hell it wants to do. But you generally use it when you paint yourselves into a corner. You do not use it when you've already painted yourself into a corner, and then you double down and keep digging yourself deeper into that corner. I'm just sitting there like, how the hell could anyone have thought this would have been a good idea? It just confuses me every time I think about it. It's like, you have got to be a colossal retard to say yes to this as a writer, as someone who has read books, who has read science fiction, who has read drama. I don't care if you read the classics. I don't care if you read one-man Greek tragedies. I don't care if you studied aesthetics. I don't care. You've read something in your life, and you're thinking, wait a second, why am I letting this random god creature resolve the story? Why would I do that? Is it to say that life is meaningless and everything I do is pointless and I just have to rely on fate. I mean, you could. Maybe that's your story. But not within the context of a video game that has dozens and dozens of choices where your choices carry over and it's building to something. It's just funny for people who do not see this, the fanboys. Fanboys, my God. My next video after my I have to make a video about this. Someone showed me a video. I don't know if anyone knows this, but they got all the big fanboys on YouTube, and they rounded them up. I don't know in which studio they went to for BioWare. They rounded them all up, and they gave them this sort of, I don't know if they paid for their plane ticket or whatever, and they gave them a few hours playing Mass Effect Andromeda, and they recorded it. And some of them recorded them, and they interviewed each other. And I was just sitting there. The level of anonymity, no. The level of, I don't know what to call it. It's
Cringe.
something where you, well, obviously we respond emotionally negatively to this when we see it. But the people there, it's like they're at Disneyland, and they're still they're looking like they have the rose tinted glasses on. You just can't see them, and they're staring at the camera like, oh, I'm breathing the air in the office. It's this strange observation of people just, and the things they come out of their mouth. It's kind of like it's like, okay, you have an addiction. These are people with problems, and they don't know it, or they don't care.
Well, it's like these people have so little in their lives that a game is making them feeling that elevated up for their own existence. It's like, no, you shouldn't be feeling that from a computer game. I mean, at least to that degree,
Yeah.
I mean, did you take a couple of tablets while you were there?
Yeah. The two videos I saw, one of them was from I don't know, Gamer MD38 or I don't know, Gamer Girl, I don't remember her name. And it was this big homage, and it shows her, and she's playing the game, and her eyes and mouth are just wide open. And I'm like, you're playing a third-person freaking shooter. How amazed are, like, what is getting you off your rocker right now? I really want to see the screen just so I can associate this facial expression to what's going on. The second one was by that guy I criticized before. I think it was Mass Effect Follower. My God, if your nickname is Follower,
Yeah.
you have a problem. Okay, Follower anything, you have a problem. He had a video, I didn't watch it all, I couldn't take it, of asking the people there that he interviewed, what does Mass Effect mean to you? And this is a very simple question. What does this piece of media mean? What's the meaning behind it? What did you get out of it? And the responses were very, very frightening. They could not identify barely anything, any content-wise, except for these two guys who were like, they have their own joke channel, so they're comedians, so they're there to make jokes. So it's like, oh, it's about shooting aliens and having sex. It's like, okay, fine, ha ha ha, whatever. The other ones were like, oh, it's the community, it's the inclusion. I'm like, what is wrong with these people? Can you give me a straight answer? They could have been talking about any community. They could have been talking about any piece of media. They could have been talking about comic books, Star Wars, Star Trek, to come up with just ridiculous answers like that. It is frightening. And I think I'm going to have to make an introductory channel video distancing myself from fanboys. Because the people who actually subscribe to me, who actually care, they actually have a brain. And when they see something that doesn't make sense, or if they see something that does make sense, they go, aha, that is horrible, or aha, that is notable. There's value there. They can explain why Tali in Mass Effect is a good character, not a mature character, not a gushingly adorable, cute character, but why she makes a good dramatic character in the story, why her loyalty mission matters, why not her Citadel DLC music thing matters, but why she matters in the story as a whole, why Liara matters, why Garrus matters. There are reasons why those are the top three characters in the trilogy, and they can explain that. And yeah, they can gush about little blue children, and they can make little jokes because it's part of the culture of people, but that's not why they care. And that means something. That means people are paying attention. And then when you hear people who aren't paying attention, who just see, oh, it's a female. Oh my God, she's got female parts. It's like, yeah, she's also an alien. You don't know her physiology. And then there's that weird speculation that I still laugh at about Tali's sweat being sweet because it's a different chirality of ours. It's like, okay, that's taking it too far.
Yeah, let's just step away from those people. Yeah.
And again, this is not to say you can't talk about those things. It's not to say you can't enjoy those things. There's lots of adult themes in Mass Effect. There's lots of sexual adult themes. There's a whole culture of people spoofing Mass Effect for sexual reasons. Good for you. I have nothing against that. Enjoy whatever you put your time and energy into, whatever you put your money into. Good for you. Nothing wrong with that. But when you start talking about Mass Effect and you cannot articulate what it is, as opposed to what your fandom is, there is a problem. You need to go out. Yeah, you got to pet a dog. You got to go to a new restaurant. You got to meet some strangers. Whatever the thing is to make you experience life. So please, obviously the people that are listening in aren't like that because I don't attract that. Although whenever I do upload a video, I always get the instant dislike within seconds. It's amazing. It's like, rah, I can't even watch it. It's fun by
I think
that's fine.
The best one that I always love is when they sort of say, well, you haven't played the game, so how can you criticize? It's like, okay, but let's just think about this for a second. You haven't played the game, so why do you think this game's going to be awesome then? Ta-da! It works both ways, doesn't it?
It's quite obvious. If they produce marketing material from their own studio, and it's flawed, we're going to say that. If it's good, we're going to say that. What we've seen hasn't been great. There are loads of flaws. And yes, I will admit the gameplay looks like fun. Yes, I will admit, as much as I harp on about the Nomad, yeah, it looks like fun. It's designed to be that way. They better get something right, or else there'd be lots of red flags popping up. Yeah, you're driving a car. Does it make sense within the context of exploring an alien sector of a galaxy you've never been to? Not really. I don't think so. I don't think you need a car.
I think on the first mission in Nowhere, it's the equivalent of hinterlands, I suppose. And the one where they say, like, the winds are a bit too strong for a shuttle. It's like, okay, you've given an environmental reason as to why you would need a land-based vehicle. Aircraft wouldn't function in this particular environment. That's what I mean by they need to give you options to utilize different vehicles for different scenarios.
Yeah, exactly. But again, we're talking about having a technology that manipulates gravity. So, how do I control that? Well, if the wind is getting strong, increase my gravity by 100 kilos or whatever you can do to a shuttle. So it's less being affected, right? There's all kinds of technological jargon we can use to explain away things.
You can even have it as a combo. It just lands and then has wheels.
Yeah, that's not a big deal. Wouldn't go very fast, but yeah, that would definitely work. It, yeah. Or it could be a flying car. It would just fly near the ground.
Yeah,
that would decrease wind shear. It would be aerodynamic. We have flying cars already. It's not a big deal. And of course, we're talking about a shellcraft. People are like, oh, there's so many fanboys in my comments. I can't delete them all. They're just, when they start getting rowdy and sweary and weird, like there's like political fanboys. I do not understand political fanboys. It's like, dude, this is a gaming channel. Okay. I'm not here to talk about Trump and PragerU and leftist and rightist mentality. I don't really care for that. We point it out because most of the people at BioWare are left-leaning, as Canada is a mostly centrist type of country. But, to politics, everyone talks about it, so it's always going to pop up now and again. And with Trump, it's always in my newsfeed. So whether I'm on Twitter or I'm on my phone or whatever, you're going to get these stories. So, oh, you're obviously a Trump supporter. It's like, dude, I'm Canadian. Everyone in the world is getting a newsfeed on Trump. Please chill out. It's not a big surprise that this is what's happening. So relax.
Keep in mind that the developers did put themselves in the firing line when they did the whole anti-Trump thing.
Yeah, they did.
It's like, that's your own fault for doing that. I mean, I'm not a Trump supporter and I am British, for crying out loud. So it's like, I don't really care. Why are you doing such an, it's okay to have political themes and religious themes in your game, whatnot. That's fine. But when you make such an obvious statement like that and you use your media platform to further something, it's like, no, you don't do that.
Yeah. And a lot of the people at Bio, not just BioWare, but even the voice actor like Jennifer Hale. We love Jennifer Hale, but she is obviously a left-leaning person. And again, no offense to Jennifer Hale for thinking this way, but some of the crap she comes up with on Twitter is hilarious. And you just have to laugh. So I don't really care politically very much, if anyone was curious where I lean. I don't really talk about it. I have all kinds of channels that are contradictory, that left-leaning, right-leaning. I think I have an alt-right-leaning one. And sometimes I dislike videos. Sometimes I like videos. That's just because I found something in the video I liked. It doesn't mean I ascribe to the philosophy.
It's the guilt by association effect, whereby because let's say you liked one particular person's argument, it's like, oh, you must agree with that person's entire. It's like, oh no, actually, I just agree with that one particular argument that they came up with.
Yeah, and this one guy kept going on, oh, you like Brexit. And I'm like, well, no, I like the Brexit video because it had some good points, but I have friends who are left-leaning. I like their videos because they make good points. Like, that's really, if I like something in the video, I'll like it. It's really not a big deal. I don't know if I've done this in the past. I must have, where I ask people to share and like and subscribe. I don't do that anymore. It's kind of, I'm not trying to grow my channel. I just have a lot more time in the past few months to do stuff on my channel as opposed to working or free time to go out. That's one of the reasons why I was late, because I was going out. It was nice, sunny. Actually, it was kind of freezing today, so I don't know why I went out. But late brunch, I guess. And so I came back and I was like, okay, I totally forgot about the live stream. Let's get it going. So yeah, it's life. You enjoy yourself. Don't go crazy. People think I have a hard-on for hating. It's like, well, no, but I do have a hard-on for analyzing. I will analyze manga, movies. Actually, I actually watched Logan last week. It's a fantastic film. Everyone should go watch it. It's great. It's not your typical Marvel film. It's absolutely hilarious at certain points. Watching a decrepit Patrick Stewart, I think it's worth the price of admission. It's just a wonderful, great hard R movie that happens to have a Marvel label attached to it. So, it's great stuff. There are things I enjoy outside of games. So yeah, I try to lead a very fulfilling life. But every time I get a new piece of media in front of me, it drives me nuts. It does drive me nuts. I'm like, oh, who is actually listening to this drivel? Who is paying attention? I mean, we just learned recently that BioWare took fan art from a DeviantArt page and put it in the codex of Mass Effect Andromeda for the Asari section. It's just like, did they ask the guy, could we use your art, please, for a commercial product?
They did that with ME3, didn't they? When they had like Shepard running towards that house being blown up, and it was used in The Walking Dead.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there's a lot. There's actually another one where someone did
the ending. The ending. Can you tell us another story about the Shepard? And it's actually a painting that someone did on DeviantArt, I think.
I think it was actually used on. It was one of the Apple backgrounds.
Really?
Yeah, it's on one of those. And did a side by side of it, and it was like, yeah, this is like a desktop background for one of the Apple computers. So, and then they did another one where, for the previous one, where you have like a FemShep in quite a Hertz pose, and that was actually done by fan art, and they did that. And it's like, BioWare, are you a AAA studio, or are you like selling your livers to keep the lights on at this point? Because I think it's the latter. Well, the famous one is Tally's face shot, and I guess we could argue that is an actual stock photo. So they would have to have bought that. So as legitimate as that was, it was still a slap in the face. There's times to do that. That was definitely the wrong time to do something that sensitive, and it was kind of silly to see it. But
Oh boy, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do with these people?
I like the parody though of when you take Tally's face mask off and it just goes Rex Shepherd. That would have been brilliant. Then suddenly Shepherd wakes up. It's like, but well done, BioWare. Well done. You.
If Tally was all a dream, yeah, there was no Tally. It was my subconscious sexual urges for Rex. Yeah. And everyone's like, oh, that would have been hilarious if everyone knows who's Tally. What are you talking about? I thought you meant the tail of the ship, not who. What are you? All these years, and we went down to that Haystrom planet. There was all the Quarians died. I don't know what you're talking about. Cal Rieger just wanted to kill that Geth Colossus. That's about it. I don't know. There was no one in that room.
Yeah, every time like he thinks Tally's there, he pulls out a little Tally doll, like a little Tally plushie. It's like, "You never leave me. I won't leave you, Tally."
Well, yeah, I think
it's just completely gone insane.
I think we would have been spared the monstrosity that was the Citadel DLC singing interactive video. I didn't even watch all that. I couldn't watch it. I was like, oh god, they went there.
The funny thing about that one is that you come into contact with Eddie Anderson, who's the guy. Yeah, Anderson. But the funny thing is that you come into contact with Anderson on the Earth, but then you're like, hang on a minute. It says in the codex that the Reapers destroyed all the communication, so Earth is completely cut off. How are you communicating? And then I wanted to do like a parody video where like, Anderson's like, oh, it's not going so great here. And putting like footage of like Omaha Beach and war zones, and people just getting blown the hell up. And it's like, yeah, it's not doing too badly right here. We're only losing 1 million per day.
How are you doing? I talked to Joker so we could make sure you're doing okay. You doing okay, Shepard? How's it going, man? Shepard's like, I have no emotion.
Like, what is wrong with these people? It's like, but then again, if the Reapers wanted to destroy Earth, then why didn't they just hurl a big rock at it from space? Why did they have to go in there with spoons and try to like dig out humanity?
We're gonna stomp on you.
Yeah, like if
they're big alien legs.
And then of course you've got the Reaper weapon, which isn't a laser; it's a big like superheated molten uranium tungsten alloy thing. So anything within like 100 meters of that heat would be vaporize.
And they got to reload eventually because you can't just keep shooting molten metal.
Yeah.
So it's like you're really draining your resources here,
but
people.
Then again, maybe that should have been it. Like Anderson's plan is like Zaf Brannigan. He's going to send wave after wave of his own men until they run out. See, that's the reason why I did that whole charge at the end. It was like he's hoping that Harbinger's going to eject his big heat sink out. He's going to hear like a ping. This huge building size.
Well, the whole point of hanging around at Earth to keep them, well, it's basically a slow death. Yeah, very organized death, but it's like you don't have to be here, man. Earth is toast. You're not going to do anything here for anyone, and you're trying to rationalize why he's staying, and you're like, you're dead. You're a dead man. You're just no hope. And of course, he's still around as the story progresses, because that's totally believable. There's like all these underground tunnels. There must be that ground penetrating radar can't find.
The resistance.
Yeah, these super alien technological geniuses that have existed forever and have done this forever can't figure out there's holes in the ground when they pave a new planet for destruction, and just like
But I just love it how all the fanboys can't even explain, like, if the Reapers had that many forces, why didn't they just plow their way to the Citadel and turn off all the relays?
Why did they move the Citadel?
Well, it's like, why'd they have to move the Citadel? But they could have just attacked the Citadel, turned off all the relays, and then began the systematic genocide of the galaxy again. There was no reason why. It was if like they all kind of went, there's something we're forgetting here. I can't put my finger on it. These humans are coming through somewhere. Where are they coming from? Get George on the phone right now. We need to have contact with HR about this.
George is asleep. He's coming up the next cycle. Oh crap! Who took over for George? I don't know. It's supposed to be the new guy. The new guy died. Oh, that's too bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's what happens when you get send an intern, isn't it? You know, to do the
Yeah,
whole galactic genocide.
yeah. They sometimes die. It happens.
Because
Whatever.
that's what Mass Effect 2, I'm talking about the Mass Effect trilogy, but that's what Mass Effect 2 should have done. It should have been like, okay, first of all, stopping the Reapers from gaining control over the Citadel, using the Clendon cannon, getting the derelict Reaper to analyze and, you know, dismantle so you can understand how to blow them the hell up. And then you need an equalizer to basically thin out their numbers somehow.
Yeah,
With full,
they could have done the Leviathan of this storyline. They could have done the machine race, the species of light, that rich who's that rich guy? He had his own private military on his own planet.
oh, yeah.
Some Volus, I can't remember his name. Beings of light. Anyway, they had so much lore to pull from, and then they had to do some human paramilitary group that had more money than God to do stupid. I still don't understand the plot of Mass Effect 2. I'm sorry, I don't.
Just imagine the thing is, well, when you're dealing with a galactic scale of things, the entire economy goes bust, and it just becomes all about resources and manufacturing capability. It's like no one cares about if you've got 10 billion credits one night; it's worthless. It's
Right.
like, do you have these tungsten alloys to build ships? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, then you can build a ship. You can't just sort of spend money on something that doesn't exist or something that's being destroyed en route. And
Yeah, stock markets would be irrelevant
yeah,
at the point of any war. At least if they actually
on the galactic
destroy
war.
the physical stock markets, you, you can't trade anymore because everything's in that whole 2 mile radius is a hole in the ground. So yeah, there's no TSX, there's no Dow Industrial, there's no Nikkei. It's all gone. There's nothing to trade. Money is useless.
Just
If you
imagine
have
like, oh, sorry.
food, if you have food that I can consume and I have lots of steel, then we'll do a trade. Great. Okay.
Yeah, because when I'm talking about the whole equalizer, it's like I was thinking that the Arrival DLC would basically be like you figuring out a way how to detonate a mass relay to destroy like a sizable portion of the Reaper fleet coming in. That would have been interesting to me, you know,
Ooh,
like the
interesting.
Reaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, that's what I was kind of. I remember me talking about this on the side of where how I would do Mass Effect 2, and the ending would basically be that Shepard would go through the Citadel relay into dark space and detonate the relay that's in there while the majority of the Reapers are still sleeping. And that's your suicide mission.
See, that's sort of we're kind of confused at that point because they were trying to come through the alpha relay,
Yeah.
and that somehow stopped, and we don't know how that works. So it's like were they already aligned with the alpha relay and they were en route, and then it just
Yeah.
oh the alpha relay blew up. We have to stop now. Or I don't know. And then they have to go back to another relay and connect. Yeah, very strange. We don't know. How does the Mass Effect work in Mass Effect? No one explained it. We have no idea.
Yeah. But yeah, like they could have done it. Like that's what Shepard's I know it's very Halo 2-esque of like, you know, the normally coming out of mass relay as it's like detonating or something like that. But at least it would give like the idea is that Shepard's giving the organics of the galaxy a fighting chance, and you thinned out the numbers to a point upon whereby the Reapers can't physically assault the Citadel. You know?
Yeah, it would have been great. There's all these great ideas people have had over the years. Like if Shepard went into a coma or he actually died, you take over his role. So you choose Tally or Garrus or whatever, and you just keep going. And that would have been pretty awesome. That would have been pretty cool. You take over one of these aliens who want to fight for humanity or just fight for the galaxy, really, and they get away with it. Or I don't know, Caden becomes a Spectre or whatever the hell you want to think of, and then you eventually find Shepard, or he's he's part cyborg. He's it took time to bring him back, or he was in a coma. All sorts of things, all sorts of wonderful things. But because it was no longer a hard sci-fi or a hard science fiction story, the focus was not on how believable is the science in tech. How believable can we make this crazy galaxy scope sized plot? And that takes a lot of effort. You can't just write a story and expect things to fit into place that are big, choices to matter and to connect and have a payoff at the end. characters to matter. Like what they did with Tally and Legion, I wasn't too happy with, but at least it made sense. It was logical. If those two weren't around, you couldn't resolve the conflict. Now that doesn't make sense to me, but in that scenario of what was happening, it did. And that's why I never bothered to criticize it, because it made it, you understood it. It connected, it gelled. It wasn't perfect. Doesn't have to be. It worked.
Yeah, in the context of the scenario that you're given, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like the whole Legion with the magical ball. He was moving his arms around like it was a freaking. He was prognosticating what's going to happen to the upload. It's like, okay, whatever you're doing, Legion, do some fancy footwork there. Okay, cool. But yeah, that was okay. Would a race on the edge of extinction start wanting to blow shit up just because they could, or would they wait for firing orders from all the admirals to do their job? I don't know. I don't know if that would be practical. Maybe because they're nomads in general, they have their own mentality of how to control the fleet. Because Chorus was like, okay, we got to blow them away now. It's like, dude, we're here. We're on the ship. Don't blow it up. We can control it. Like that was another big beef of mine. Well, why would they destroy the ship? It's this massive dreadnought that you've pretty much taken over, and they're going to destroy it. It's what?
What do we need? We need ships, except for that one.
That massive technological one that our children created, our alien children, which are now peaceful, at least on the ship. We'll blow the shit out of it. Okay. Oh, great, thanks. I could have used that in the Reaper War, but yeah, you can blow it up. It's okay.
That's massive. Apparently, though, the things I'm hearing of conflicting stories about this, but apparently the Quarians are on the Andromeda Initiative.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, because obviously they're on with the Turians, but like you say, with the whole idea of like all the arcs, it's like they say we've lost contact with the Nexus, and you're like, how?
I was quite sure we saw a wonderful instruction video of all the ships in the Nexus coming out of FTL, so I don't know.
Yeah. It's like, did everyone kind of go, right, guys, if we all die, let's all meet up here, right? That sounds like a good plan. Good plan. Did we all like leave at different points? I mean, because if this was like a tiered, this is what I mean by with the Andromeda Initiative, is that they shouldn't have done the whole art things at the start. I mean, yeah, have one ship go through, but that should have been like your foundation level thing, right? So they do the whole precursor and they like map it all out, and then you have your sequential arcs coming through en route, you know, so you've got a bit of time. You give the explorers time to explore and find things out. You don't go there all en masse and kind of go, yeah, this has got a flesh-eating virus. No.
Well, I still think 600 years is a little too big. I think it's a little too crazy to contemplate that as a viable opportunity on any level for exploration, for profit, for resources.
This also brings up a question of the Prothean cryosleep only lasted for a couple of centuries, and they were more advanced than the Milky Way people. So why are we more advanced than the Protheans in certain regards?
Well, the Prothean, I totally did not understand Mass Effect Ilos, how they kept turning off pods because they were scared of the Reapers still being out there. And this is after thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It's like, well, if you turn off technology, how is that going to be detected by the Reapers? Is it life signs? Like, what do they look for? And we find out they never even passed by. They didn't even know about Ilos. The Reapers had no clue. And that was part of the plan. That was how secure it was. That it wasn't part of any star charts. It wasn't part of the Citadel log. So Reapers never knew about Ilos.
Didn't they do that was the vision there, wasn't it, of whereby they blasted out communication, I think, but that was done afterwards, there wasn't it, after when it was only the lead scientists left at that point.
Yeah, but that was after they arrived at the station. There was no food at the station and blah, blah, blah. But what was stopping them from having their own little underground colony that was completely shielded?
Well, it's like, yeah, if you would have turned people off, then let's say, you know, okay, you turn the crowds off, but you wake them up.
Yeah,
You don't
exactly.
just let them die. You
Yeah,
know?
you wake them up. That you turn off their pods. Okay, great.
It's
Get
the same
start.
thing. Yeah, the
Get
individual
work.
kind of goes, right, don't do this because you're going to get detected, right? Okay, cool. Farming, brilliant.
Yeah, we'll start up a hydroponics bay. We'll grow our own meat or whatever the hell you do. You can live. You
Uh,
can you could have an underground bunker that's shielded like crazy. It's miles deep. And it was like the thing with the problem with Isles was it was this jungle world. It was beautiful, it had all this water, and the structure was gigantic, like the facility that the Protheans built. But it was all like sort of just it was just grown, like it was just outside, like you could see the sunlight. It was really not that deep. So I was like, oh, that's not. You don't want to build buildings that close to the surface. You want to go really, really, really far. Build a big hole in the ground. Get all your technology working to circulate the air and clean it, and all your food and all the basic stuff for sustaining life. And then go to sleep. Yeah, sure, whatever. Have AI to make sure all the machines are running and wake people up if they aren't. Do
well,
all that stuff. But
yeah, it's like that's what the From Ashes thing should have actually been. You know, is that
exactly.
the people at Ilos basically like this huge underground cavern of like ancient Protheans that have just like the anti-Reaper things like such a religion to them. You know, then Shepard kind of wakes them up and comes in contact with them. It's just like, oh, whoa.
See, that would have been awesome if Shepard was on a mission to find Prothean relics and he encountered a cache like that, and he pops out at the end of Mass Effect 2 and he's got all these Prothean soldiers behind him ready to fight. And everyone's like, what the hell is that? It's like Protheans. They're like, what? And the same thing where Javik comes in and touches someone's head and they get all these visions. Like that would have been a killer Mass Effect 2, I think, as opposed to launching yourself into this suicide mission, the center of the why the center of the galaxy? Who the frickin' hell knows? Because
Yeah,
that
and there's no mass relay at the center of the galaxy either. We didn't see one.
yeah, never linked to anything.
It's like, okay, that's why.
How do we get back? I don't know.
And then of course you got the whole like, how did Harbinger set up the Protheans to then start magically like harvesting and making other people? Can't you do that while you're doing the whole galactic genocide thing? And like when you pointed out in the video, like you get 100,000 people and then you start cloning them.
Yeah.
If you want,
Wow, we know all your genetics. It's pretty basic. We're super intelligent machine gods. We could probably make that in about an afternoon. Yeah, we don't need to actually harvest you individually, all 3 trillion of you. Like we don't need that.
did you actually? Do you want to know what one of my theories was about the ending of Mass Effect 3? It was that the Reapers are actually wiping out organic races in order to actually protect them from a larger threat. That if the organics grew too large, that they would become noticed by the seeming unknown threat that's kind of beyond the rim. And then the Reapers are kind of like trying to keep a lid on this.
Also, they're culling the herd so it doesn't get too big.
Yeah. So they're kind of going, yeah, the Reapers kind of going, yeah, we need to keep these people locked down. It's like we still kind of want to preserve it. In actual fact, you can sort of say that the Reapers are seeding life in the Milky Way, but at the same time, they're destroying it. So like,
Which
you've got
is,
like this.
see, that works perfectly well with the genophage, the theme of the genophage, where you have these aggressive Neanderthals, pretty much, and you accidentally gave them nuclear weapons, so you have to cull their herd so they don't destroy the galaxy, which is exactly what the Reapers are doing. But that's not that's not all what the Reapers are doing, but that would be all that relates or translates to us, how it matters to us, because the Reapers are, again, the super intelligent collective hive mind of gods. They don't really care about amoebas. You know, they're like, the amoebas are in our petri dish are growing over our limits. We should probably throw that out and start again. Whatever the analogy is. See, that would have been cool. That would have made some. Okay, honestly, you could have said they wanted to make a giant meat pie, and they don't like cloning because it doesn't taste as good. I would have said that's a brilliant idea because anything's better than the ending of Mass Effect 3.
Well, the thing is, though, when they talked about the Reapers and or the Reaper threat, right? Another thing as well that kind of popped into my head when I was doing the whole thing about it was that when they talk about activating the Reapers, I was thinking that the mass relay was a Reaper itself. Like it just turns into like it just awakens up and becomes sentient. I know
Yeah.
it's a bit more like larger, but at least it's like in terms of like when people kind of go, no one really knows where it came about. It's like, what's that? That's a Reaper. Hello, I'm a 15 tall kilometer. You just kicked my son in the ball. But yeah, there's many different ways of how they could have done that, other than the way of how they went by it. Because the whole idea of them saying, "Oh yeah, it was a completely planned trilogy. Get it written, get it written. We don't know what we're doing."
Story is so simple. Give me a damn story.
We've got this thing called a sequel. It has nothing in relation to Mass Effect 1 or 3. It's a sequel? It's like calling Dragon Age Inquisition Dragon Age 3, I suppose. It's like, no, this has no, or like Dragon Age 2, actually, there's a better example. Like,
Yeah,
this has no relation to Darkspawn, defeating the Darkspawn archdemons, or Awakenings is really more Dragon Age 2.
Yeah, they call it Kirkwall Knights. I think that was a good subtitle. Dragon Age, Kirkwall Knights. Hawk Edition.
Then you have like the Red Lyra edition as well.
Oh, God. Slap some red lyrium on it. You're crazy. You hear voices. You're super powerful. You're a Power Ranger. I can fly. It does everything.
Actually, speaking of which, one of the things that really pissed me off about Inquisition was the blatant line that they did in the marketing. You know, when you saw the trailers and things like that. And what did you see in the trailers? Demons everywhere. It's even on the box art. Demons, demons, demons. The Fade's coming through. Who are you fighting through most of the time? Corey the Crackhead and his merry band of Venatori. You're like, you've just taken this whole brilliant premise of the Fade invading and, you know, warping the material world, and you've just kind of gone, yeah, it's solved in the first act. Like,
well,
no.
If you compare the launch trailer of Dragon Age Inquisition, I actually saw it last week, and compare it to Andromeda, I'd say it's more cringeworthy. It has these scenes where all 9 characters or whatever your squad is, they're all fighting, and you have this flaming sword, and this is that stupid pop music again. It's like, oh, this is not what Dragon Age is supposed to feel like. And this, I actually thought the man singing in the Andromeda trailer was a black man. He had a very beautiful voice. It's like, okay, that's a black man. I went to research him. That's a white guy, and he's got a really good voice. I hate the song, but you know, he knows how to sing. But the song is not about being human. It's about that we're different, and diversity, and it's not about, it's more about race, but the issue of diversity and getting along with each other. Because if you listen to the lyrics themselves, they're pretty stupid. It's like, I'm only human. Well, yeah, you're a human who might have hurt someone. You're a human who might have done something wrong to someone. It's a strange message if you take it for face value. Obviously, there's more to it. It's about being different and accepting the fact that people are different, and it's not my fault for being different. But face value, it's like, well, maybe you did do something wrong. Maybe you are invading a planet, which you shouldn't be. Maybe you should not be doing that in this galaxy, let alone your own. Who knows?
Yeah, the whole don't blame me kind of thing. I was like, well, if you kind of go into a planet and then you commit genocide, you can't be like, Hitler did nothing wrong, guys. I'm just saying. hey, he was only human. Don't blame him. Like, no, you're killing whole swaths of people, you moron.
Yeah, there's no renegade option. They're never going to have the option where, do we genocide this part of the planet, or do we genocide that part of the planet?
Well, considering that they've already said that the Ket are not local to they're not native to Helios cluster, I'm like, how do you know that? I mean, it's even said in the trailer where Daddy Rider says, "Oh, they're visitors like us," and it's like, how do you know that? How do you know the Ket are outside of the Helios cluster? How do you know?
Right. But that's the funny thing. Why would they have to create more conflict? Like, I'm all for good conflict or more conflict, provided it makes sense. But how much more conflict do you need? You've traveled this far. You've obviously something happened between A and B. We've lost contact with the Turian arc and all this other crap. It's like, okay, who are we going to fight? Oh, let's create a bad guy enemy who's doing the same thing we're doing, but they're taking over planets and they're crushing everyone. It's like, why do you need that? What was wrong with having conflict between, there already is, conflict between the species that came from the galaxy, that they seem to like killing each other really, really well. And like, what was wrong with that conflict? What was wrong with existing alien conflict on the worlds you encounter? Or the Angoras? That's a perfectly good conflict. They're right there. They see you as an invader. Why are you here? Da 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 da. Hey, we like the humans, but the Krogans are kind of mean. Why is that? Perfectly good conflict. All kinds of things to argue with.
Oh, yeah.
But then the point becomes, well, what's the goal of the project? Is it to find golden worlds and make them habitable? No, it's to land on them and then solve everyone's problems on the planets. You're like, what? No, I don't think Scott's qualified to be diplomat / scientist, like all these other hats. It sounds very strange when we have about 100,000 people who are actually these specialists. And that's what you do. You find a good place, you do some tests, you say, okay, the water's good, the air is good, the minerals are good, solid foundation. You could build a home, you could build a city, you could build a community. Let's do that. You wake up some builders, you wake up some engineers, you get some businessmen going, some entrepreneurs, boom, 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 off you go. Not, oh, Krogans are nearby, they don't trust you. It's like, I'm a Pathfinder. What the hell do I care? I got planets to explore. Leave me alone. You deal with that shit. What we solve everything for everyone? Like people on the station, we're being removed from our families. It's like, okay, what do you want me to do?
That would be an interesting way of, let's say, because Pathfinder I always see them as more of a first contacty kind of people. Like that's one of the things that they should be doing as well. But let's say, for example, you've got a group of colonists who want to splinter off, but then you have like multiple options to deal with them. So you can either trade with them, diplomatize with them, or you can just kind of go, yeah, we're going to send in these Marines to basically boot you off, to just deal with you, because you're in that way.
That's kind of like how, well, not exactly how Inquisition would deal with a problem. Send your spies, send your military.
Yeah.
If they do something like that, boy, is that going to be really reminiscent of the game.
I was thinking of an actual, you have like X amount of soldiers, diplomats, and, very 4X style of gaming. So you do actually have, so you can't just send soldiers left and right, or you have to wait 6 megging hours for them to complete the mission, or anything El Retardo like that.
That would be cool, but they've already explained that they're not a military group. So
yeah, even though they've got soldiers written on the
yeah, even though we are security forces and we have big freaking guns.
Well, they're called militia, aren't they? Which would have actually been interesting of how they would have done the weapons as well. Like, like how you have military weapons and you have civilian-based weapons, which can be based upon the same platforms.
Right.
And maybe let's say they kind of go like, well, the civilian market ones use these interchangeable heat sinks, to basically to stop people from rebelling in such a large way. Whereas the military ones are obviously a lot more durable. So it's like, limiting a magazine on a rifle or something, or anything like that. And then, of course, obviously these people have modified it or anything like that, although they've modified the Avenger assault rifle again. So because I think I mentioned this before, but they've actually got rid of the sight system on it, on the back.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where you reload from now. So you can't aim, quote unquote, the weapon.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I did notice that. There was a magazine that came out with the specs of the guns and some of the squad mates, and the Avenger assault rifle doesn't have a scope at the back. It's this big. Yeah, there's this big. Well, the thing is, the scope and the front part, that big arch, that arching top of the gun, I thought that was the scope, and all he did was take out the eyepiece at the back. So I'm thinking, what the hell is that top part? What does that top part do? It's just a ornamentation. Like it's just this big round or big arching curve at the top of the gun. So I'm like, okay, if the scope isn't there anymore,
yeah,
what is that the heat sink part? Is that the the ammo block. I don't know. It's kind of funny. I wish we had technical diagrams of these guns because I know some artist out there thought about this stuff before Mass Effect came around. Like, oh, this gun has curvilinear lines. It pops out. It folds out into a gun. And like, pops into your back like a square. That would make sense. They figured out why it transforms like that.
Yeah, because with it being smooth and stuff, it's not going to catch on your equipment or your webbing or any of your personal gear when it folds back in.
Yeah, and
So
that design, that concept of modularity was slowly corroded as the games went on. Mass Effect 3, even Andromeda, he has a freaking sniper rifle on his back. It's pretty much folded out. It's not compact at all.
nothing's going to be in the dirt and grind up against everything. They're going to have major stoppages with that weapon.
Yeah. Well, if you're going on an alien planet, of course, there's that. What was that? Suvi, whatever the hell, or Scottish
So the
Indian
Antioch,
Antois, whatever. She starts licking rocks. I'm like, okay,
oh, yeah,
that's
when I was looking up the lick test and whatnot, it's like you don't physically lick it. You just, I know that was for fossils, but you don't kind of go, I detect iron ore. It's like, we have scanners for that. It's like,
we have chemicals that can detect that. That's how we actually detect certain types of metals. Yeah.
and apparently, obviously, she's like she's a romanceable character as well. It's like you don't want to go, you don't want to be kissing that because you don't know where that tongue is.
She's a religious scientist person who licks rocks. Bravo. How the hell did she get on this mission? I think everyone on the mission is like a little retarded. I think
Yeah, this is why I equated it to like the B arc of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's all filled with like the telephone cleaners, the hairdressers. It's like I'm expecting the captain to be in like a bathtub all the time.
it's like all the degenerates or all the people have
And
we have no opportunities in the
they've
Milky Way.
lost the Taurian arc. They don't know where it is. There was no Taurian arc to begin with.
It's like, yeah, it's here. It's behind us. It's coming. Another year or two. It'll come. Yeah.
And then ends up going back in time and ends up forming the reef. Those are the people who end up building the catalyst. Oh, it all comes full circle.
Oh God, let's. I hope they completely do not bring up the ending. If they do,
Well, the thing is, they've just got such a. The thing about Dragon Age Inquisition, indeed, is very much similar to like Mass Effect 2, is that you've got this huge world to go into, but there's no main story to really. Well, there is a main storyline, but there's no really plot to kind of drive you through it all. I think that's what they're going to do with Andromeda. A lot of the story things are going to be done through the DLC, which, yeah, especially if they do the ending through the DLC again, which is just like, thanks, Dragon Age Inquisition, It's just, I didn't bother buying that. In fact, I never bought. I don't think I've actually ever bought any of the Mass Effect or Dragon Age DLC, except for Origins when it came through the Ultimate Edition pack.
Oh, that was with Shale, right? Oh, that what a great DLC. That was.
Well,
Oh,
it was free.
It was free. Oh, jeez.
If you bought the game new, it was free. But if you bought the thing second hand, then you had to buy the Shale DLC separately.
Well, that's when it came out, not when it. Yeah. Okay, I see what you mean. All right.
It was there to basically stop GameStop from doing the second-hand purchase. It was a crap deal, I know, but it was necessary. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Shale and Sten are perhaps one of my two favorite characters that have nothing to do with anything. They're just so entertaining. Putting those two together, it's like they have a bromance thing going on, even though Shale's technically a female, or was a female. It's so funny. They are so quirky and honest and straightforward. Dragon Age Origins, I could always go back every year.
The facial animations in Origins is better.
It's simpler. I don't know if it's better because we're talking about an old game, right?
Well, the thing is, though, is that there's a lot more subtle features, like the eyes will squint when they're smiling or angry. Obviously, it's like night and day compared to, let's say, The Witcher 2 or The Witcher 3's facial animations. But
right.
but the level of subtlety that they've put in with the facial animations in Origins is far superior to the blank death stare that we got in Andromeda.
The eyelids way up. It's like,
I'm really high on coffee right now.
Oh boy. Okay, I think we've pretty much rambled ourselves out. I'm going to be doing some videos eventually. I promised to do the line. What was that game called? I had
Spec Ops the Line.
Spec Ops the Line. I'm eventually have to start doing that one too. But yeah, at least 2 new Mass Effect vids I'll be doing this week. And Torment, Tides of Numenera. That's on the plate. So expect that coming up. And thank you very much, guys, for listening. We'll see you next time. Sorry we didn't get to any of your questions or any of your comments in the chat. There was so much to talk about last week. Probably didn't go over some of the other interesting things, but we got to keep going. So thanks very much for your time, and we'll see you later.
Yeah, catch you guys later.